It's good to speak with you today, Greg, and looking forward to hearing your views today on outsourced logistics and collaboration using an outcome-based pricing structure approach. Can you start by providing a brief background of yourself?
Sure. I appreciate you inviting me to the interview, Dustin. My background actually is primarily in engineering and operations. I received my bachelor's degree in industrial engineering from the University of Pittsburgh and later went on to earn my MBA with a finance concentration from Georgia State University. I started my career in transportation with Yellow Freight System in their management trainee program and eventually made it up into their industrial engineering department. After that, I moved into the logistics arena, starting off with Georgia Pacific Corporation and then moving on to UPS Supply Chain Solutions before joining Kenco about 8.5 years ago. So most of my career has been in engineering, operations, pricing, or solutions development. Roughly about half the time that I have spent here at Kenco was in operations, managing the network that Kenco operates on behalf of one of our larger customers, and the other half I've spent in the sales arena, and that's what my current position is, VP of Sales with Kenco. Just briefly about Kenco, we are the largest family-owned third-party logistics provider in North America. We are a vertically integrated logistics provider, and what that means is that we basically want to be a one-stop shop for logistics needs within North America for our customers. The services we offer include value-added warehousing and distribution, comprehensive transportation management, material handling, equipment solutions, real estate management, and also system solutions.
Thank you. Can you talk about what are collaborative, outcome-based pricing structures?
Sure. In the logistics world, as well as in many other industries, many sourcing relationships are very transaction-based, where the customer is primarily interested in reducing labor cost. The vendor-client relationships are typically very tactical, and logistics is almost treated like a commodity. And oftentimes in these types of relationships, the customers end up micromanaging the third-party logistics provider. So the customer chooses to outsource because they recognize that their expertise is in manufacturing and marketing their product. It's not in distributing it. But then they tell the 3PL, who is an expert in distribution, how they want their work done, which creates a strange and often tense relationship. These types of relationships typically involve a cost-plus management fee structure, and that's where the 3PL passes through all costs to the customer and then adds a small management fee markup. Then, ironically, the customer will sometimes criticize the 3PL for not being innovative enough or driving value into their supply chain and doing a better job at reducing cost. And really, if you think about it, a traditional cost-plus management fee structure is really a disincentive to reduce cost for the 3PL, because when they reduce their costs, they also reduce their margin. And secondly, when customers issue this challenge to be more innovative, they often don't recognize that there's a cost that can be significant for that innovation. And innovation is rarely, if ever, free. The service provider's on-site management staff is usually very good at managing processes, hiring and training employees, and holding those employees accountable. But oftentimes, the type of innovation a customer is looking for involves larger changes, such improving facility layout, enhancing product storage or conveyance equipment, implementing improved systems, or implementing network-wide process changes. And this type of innovation almost always requires outside support, such as engineering resources. And many 3PLs have these resources, but as I said, they come with a cost. And in a traditional cost-plus management fee structure, when a customer challenges a provider to be more innovative, often what they have in mind is they want the 3PL to invest their resources to reduce the customer's costs without really considering the expense the 3PL will have to go through to do that. And it puts the 3PL in a very difficult situation because they want to have a happy customer, but at the same time they have to make a profit to remain viable. So in a collaborative outcome-based pricing structure, the focus is on the what and not the how. And what this means is that the customer and the service provider come together and agree on a small number of key metrics that will be used to measure success. Logistics expense as a percent of revenue is a good example of one of these key metrics. Then it's up to the service provider to use their expertise to figure out how to hit these targets. And if they do, there's an opportunity to increase their management fee, possibly significantly. This gives the service provider the incentive to invest resources in the relationship and look for ways to be innovative and reduce cost. And because there's a clear path for how they can get a positive return on their investment, they're willing to put those resources and invest those resources in the relationship. And likewise, though, the service provider does take on some risk by putting a portion of their management fee at risk if those mutually agreed upon targets are not hit. So as a simple example, under the same cost plus management fee structure that I just spoke about a few minutes ago, let's say that a customer and service provider agree on a target management fee of 10%. If the service provider does not deliver on the mutually agreed upon goals, they could put up to 50% of their management fee at risk and only earn a 5% management fee for a given period. That's their skin in the game, if you will, or that's the risk that they take on in this type of agreement. And likewise, if the service provider significantly exceeds the mutually agreed upon goals, they could earn up to a 30% management fee, so 3 times the agreed upon target. These, by the way, are guidelines offered by Kate Vitasic, who developed the vested outsourcing model that is becoming increasingly popular. Now, I know 30% may seem like an excessive management fee, but if you think about it, if the agreement is structured properly, the customer benefits just as much, if not more, as the service provider when this type of performance is delivered. Think of the cost benefit that a customer received in return for the service provider's performance that earned the service provider that type of management fee.
And you mentioned some of the benefits. Are there any other benefits?
Yeah, really, if handled correctly, it creates a strategic partnership instead of a tactical arm's length, us versus them vendor-client relationship. In a collaborative relationship, the customer recognizes that the service provider has a right to earn a profit, to stay in business, and gives the service provider an opportunity to potentially significantly increase their profit by meeting or exceeding the goals that are most important to the customer. Both the customer and service provider are invested in each other's success, and that's really the key part of this program. They're invested in each other's success. By helping the customer be more successful, the service provider also enjoys success and vice versa.
And why do you believe so strongly in this approach?
Well, for one, even though it's a relatively new concept, I've seen it work. When business partners are invested in each other's success, that creates a lot of positive energy in the relationship, and success breeds success. Success also leads to long-term relationships, and it's a proven fact that long-term relationships are by far the most profitable both for the customer and the service provider. It costs the service provider significantly more to find and win the business from a new customer than it does to maintain a current customer. And likewise, a customer is exposed both to increased cost as well as risk when they have to switch vendors. So by partnering with a company you trust and then forming a pricing structure that leads to a win-win relationship where both companies share in the success, you have a solid foundation for a long-term productive relationship.
And do you have any success stories or examples?
The best example I have is a relationship with a customer that has been with Kenco for about 8.5 years now. Initially, our scope of work with this customer included managing their one U.S.-based warehouse along with a dedicated transportation fleet that provides white glove delivery of their products to customers across the country. And we also manage the shuttling of product from their manufacturing site to the warehouse. Back in 2008, we performed a network analysis which validated the benefits of implementing a hub and spoke network to serve their customers. And what this means is instead of delivering to all of their customers across the country from their one central warehouse, there were some significant transportation savings and improved customer service by implementing smaller regional distribution centers closer to their customers. So over the next 3 years, we opened and now operate 9 regional distribution centers and also manage the movement of product from the central DC to the regional DCs and then on to the end customers. And about the same time as the rollout of those 9 regional DCs was concluded, our current agreement with the customer was coming close to expiring. And the decision was made in working in conjunction with them at that point to move to more of a collaborative outcome-based pricing structure when we renewed the agreement. And there's a couple of key attributes to that structure. First of all, it's very simple. It is a standard cost-plus relationship with an open book relationship where all costs are shared and visible across the relationship. The key metric that Kenco is held accountable for is logistics expense as a percent of revenue. That is the key cost that the key cost metric that their senior leadership looks at to monitor how their supply chain is performing. And also developed as part of that structure was how Kenco would share in the benefits for achieving that key metric. And at that point, the customer basically stepped back and let us do what we do best and monitor our performance without micromanaging us. And that really made it easy for us to make the decision to invest resources in the relationship to ensure that we hit that key metric. We now have 2 full-time business improvement managers assigned to that account at Kenco's expense because we know that they will more than pay for themselves based on the savings and other efficiency gains they will deliver. Our management staff has also received Lean Six Sigma training, and many of them have earned either their Lean Six Sigma green or black belt. In fact, the black belt project by one of our management team members generated audited savings of $1.6 million for the customer. And there's a long list of other projects that I could share with you, including some others that also generated 7-figure annual savings or provided value in other ways. And in addition, at the customer's request, we have also trained many of their employees to achieve their Lean Six Sigma green or black belt. And many of those employees work in different divisions that we're not even associated with. So our relationship with the customer has continued to grow. And really the results are easy to see. In the last 2 years, the customer's revenue has grown 18%, but their logistics expense has remained flat. So we've been able to facilitate that growth without increasing their cost, which has obviously been very pleasing to their senior leadership. Now our primary contacts that we work with are internally selling Kenco to other divisions within the organization, which we hope will lead to additional growth. But perhaps the best example I could offer regarding what this has done to for our relationship with this customer, it came out of something that was said just 2 weeks ago in a quarterly review. At the end of the meeting, the customer told us that we have them right where they want to have their customers. They can't imagine doing business without us. And needless to say, that was a great way to end the meeting.
And thank you, Greg, for sharing today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.